to this, you can be sure. Liz.
Okay, well, will they hold up? That's what we're going to attack next.
Good question.
A couple of things. As Jeff mentioned, will it hold up? Is it watertight? And also, you will hear the cries that it is anti-Muslim. So as you look at what's been going on, and we should tell you, as you just saw, the FBI is indicating that 300 refugees are currently the subject of FBI terror investigations. These are refugees who got into the U.S. That, of course, brings in the line of why Donald Trump was so concerned about putting this travel order back in play. Let's bring in two voices on this. I am joined now by Zuhdi Jasser. He's founder and president of the American Islam Forum for Democracy. He is a devout Muslim. And we welcome Ken Cuccinelli back to the show, former Attorney General of Virginia, looking at the legal side of this. Okay, right off the bat, Ken, I'll start with you. Will it hold up to appeals? Is it appeals proof, or are there holes within this?
I mean, anybody can sue for anything in the United States, but it doesn't mean you get to win. This is legally airtight. They excluded the categories that were complained about in the earlier order. They even got Iraq to make some changes to take that entire country off the table, at least as far as the immigration pieces, not the refugee pieces. And they also were much more particularized in their language related to religion, and it clearly includes persecuted Muslims. And so it's awfully hard to hold that out there as anti-Muslim in any way. So this will hold up. It'll be airtight. I'm not even sure any significant organization or entity will even bother suing.
Okay. Let's talk about the anti-Muslim aspect of it. Zuhdi, you have been one of our favorite guests because you call it like you see it. And you, unlike many other very serious Muslims, are unafraid to really speak out about these things. You have to tell us from your perspective, because there are others who are going to say this is anti-Muslim. Is it?
I really don't believe so, Liz. I mean, it's pretty obvious. These are 7 countries whose governments are chaotic. They're not our allies. We can't trust the information they give us. So I would say that I hope this is the first step in a long journey in which I think there's nothing more pro-Muslim than telling the Islamists, the jihadists, that America is not your home. We don't welcome those who don't share our values. And I think most Muslims around the world would say America is the place to come if you want to be free, if you believe in universal human rights. But we should not welcome those who don't share our values. And I think this Executive Order 2.0, if you will, gets it right a little more accurately. I believe that the stakeholders that have been brought to the table are a little more organized this time. And the only thing the agitators who use propaganda to mislabel this as a Muslim ban, which it's not, are simply going to look for anything that they can, which is not there this time.
You know, I don't know why anybody would ever be surprised. President Trump, during the election process, it's going way back, said, let's put a pause on bringing in immigrants, and especially when you talk about refugees. He said the first thing he would do is pause this to, quote, figure out what's happening, who's coming in. So you've got a 90-day pause, you've got a 120-day pause. Ken Cuccinelli, ostensibly, the pause is to improve the vetting process.
Right,
Iraq was removed from the original situation. Iraq was removed. The order said Iraq was removed because it will cooperate, but how much did it have to do with what happened the first time around? And that was when this gentleman named Hamid Darwish, who was a U.S. military interpreter, he got ensnared. Remember this guy? He got ensnared the first time around. And he's been one who helped the U.S. military. If he were to be sent back to Iraq, he would have been in deep trouble. He would have been in danger.
Well, both the Iraqi government and and the president have talked about changes generically that have been made since January 27th, with the obvious suggestion that Iraq is more willing, more ready, and more able to provide the kind of important information that allows us to verify whether the person coming to this country is safe to have here. But these other 6 countries, it's hard to imagine them ever getting to a point where we can rely on what we're getting from those countries.
Well,
so
some of them we
I
don't
think
even
this order is the first step.
Some of them we don't even have an embassy there. It's too dangerous. I mean, Libya was closed, Yemen, the whole, you can't vet from those countries. Zuhdi, before we go, look, as a business network, we hear from a lot of CEOs who say the immigration order, it's not so much those countries that are Muslims, but you got a lot of immigrants coming in, and they do the agriculture work. They do a lot of the services and the hotel work. Do you see this as hurting the business climate in any way?
Well, I think they need to look beyond the 90 to 120 days. The long term, there's nothing that helps free market businesses than knowing that Americans can perceive that these businesses are having people work with them that share our values. And it's not just about Muslims or Islamists or jihadists. I don't want Russian advocates, Chinese communists, any type of folks that come from dictatorships or tyrannies that don't share our values. We should be vetting. The last administration did no ideological vetting. I hope this is a control group of 7 countries, and we do start to look at countries that we consider allies like Saudi Arabia and Pakistan that, make no mistake, are also cauldrons of jihadism that we need to start vetting the ideologies
can I make
which
one
those
comment
governments
along those lines?
Quickly, Ken.
Look, you asked a business question, and the way it was phrased is how business makes money, but there's employees here too. There's labor here too. And Americans should have a shot at those jobs. We hear all the time, oh, Americans don't want to do this work. Well, guess what? If there's more of a shortage of that work, the prices for those wages are going to go up.
Maybe.
Americans are going to make more money, and more of them will do those jobs.
Maybe. But then the product gets raised in price. It's such an incredible web. But in any case, we thank you for your perspective. Zuhdi Jasser, American Islam Forum for Democracy founder and president, and Ken Cuccinelli, former Virginia Attorney General. So we're looking at this market, little bit of a pullback, but we are off the lows of the session. The Dow down 30, and with about 47 minutes before the closing bell rings, you've got JP Morgan, Travelers, and Intel as the biggest drags on the Dow 30 right this second. And